Network, 1976. Original story and screenplay by Paddy Chayefsky. Produced by Howard Gottfried. Directed by Sidney Lumen. Fade in. Black screen. Narrator off screen. This story is about Howard Beale, who was the network news anchorman on UBS TV, a bank of 4-color television monitors. It is 7:14 p.m. Monday, September 22nd, 1975, and we are watching the news programs on CBS, NBC, ABC, and UBS TV, the network of our story. The audio is off, and headshots of Walter Cronkite, John Chancellor, Howard K. Smith, and Harry Reasoner, and, of course, the anchorman of our network, Howard Beale, silently flicker across the 4 screens, interspersed with the news of the day. President Ford's new energy program, a hearing on Patty Hearst bail, truce violations in Beirut, busing trouble in Boston. Narrator off-screen. In his time, Howard Beale had been a mandarin of television, the grand old man of news, with a HUT rating of 16 and a 28 audience share. Camera moves in to isolate Howard Beale, who is everything an anchorman should be. 58 years old, silver-haired, magisterial, dignified to the point of divinity. Howard. Good evening. It is Monday, September the 22nd, 1975, and today a shot was fired at President Ford's motorcade in San Francisco. The president was unharmed. The incident happened late this afternoon, and we still do not have a filmed report. The shot was fired as Mr. Ford was leaving the St. Francis Hotel on his way to the San Francisco airport. The president was shaking hands with people in front of the hotel when the shooting occurred. Secret Service agents rushed Mr. Ford into his car, and the motorcade went immediately to the airport. Police arrested a man with a 6-shot revolver in his possession, although there is some confusion about this. Our last reports indicate the attempted assassination may have been made by a woman. In any event, this is the second attempt on the president's life in 18 days, and we will have a comment to make about that later on in the program. Right now, though, we have a telephone report from Halstead Mayberry in San Francisco. Halstead, are you there? Narrator, off screen. In 1969, however, his fortunes began to decline. He fell to a 22 share. The following year, his wife died, and he was left a childless widower with an 8 rating and a 12 share. He became morose and isolated, began to drink heavily, and on September 22, 1975, he was fired, effective in 2 weeks. It was broken to him by Max Schumacher. 5th Avenue, south of 57th Street, 11:30 p.m. The area is deserted except for a few strollers window shopping. Down near 55th Street, 2 roaring drunks, Howard Beale and Max Schumacher, reel along. Narrator, off-screen. Who was president of the news division at UBS? The 2 old friends got properly pissed. Closer shot of Howard and Max, a craggy, lumbering, rough-hewn 51-year-old man, thoroughly plastered and on a laughing jag. Howard, clutching the corner mailbox to keep from falling. When was this? Max, 1951? Howard. I was at CBS with Ed Murrow in 1951. Didn't you join Murrow in 1951? Max. Must have been 1950 then. I was at NBC. Morning News. Associate producer. I was a kid. 26 years old. Anyway, they were building the lower level on the George Washington Bridge, and we were doing a remote there. Except nobody told me. For some reason, this knocks him out. Howard wheezes with suppressed laughter. Max has to shout to get the rest of the story out. Max. 10 after 7 in the morning, I get a call. Where the hell are you? You're supposed to be on the George Washington Bridge. I jump out of bed. I throw my raincoat over my pajamas. I run down the stairs. I get out in the street. I flag a cab. I jump in. I say, take me to the middle of the George Washington Bridge. Both men dissolve into spasms of laughter. Max, tears streaming down his cheeks. The driver turns around. He says, don't do it, buddy. So weak now he can barely talk. He says, you're a young man. You've got your whole life ahead of you. He stomps around on the sidewalk. Howard clutches the mailbox. A bar, 3 a.m. Any bar, mostly empty. Max and Howard in a booth, suddenly sober. Howard. I'm gonna kill myself. Max. Oh shit, Howard. Howard, I'm gonna blow my brains out right on the air. Right in the middle of the 7 o'clock news. Max. You'll get a hell of a rating, I'll tell you that. A 50 share, easy. Howard. You think so? Max. We could make a series out of it. Suicide of the week. Hell, why limit ourselves? Execution of the week. The Madame Defarge Show. Every Sunday night, bring your knitting and watch somebody get guillotined, hung, electrocuted, gassed. For a logo, we'll have some brute with a black hood over his head. Think of the spin-offs. Rape of the week. Howard getting caught up. Terrorist of the week? Max, I love it. Suicides, assassinations, mad bombers, mafia hitmen, murder in the barber shop, human sacrifices and witches' covens, automobile smash-ups, the death hour, a great Sunday night show for the whole family. We'll wipe that fucking Disney right off the air. Snigger and snort. Howard lays his head down on the table. Howard's bedroom, 4:30 a.m. dark. Fully clothed, Howard sprawls asleep on his still-made bed in the dark bedroom. Suddenly, he bolts up, screaming at unseen terrors. Howard's doorstep, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Howard's housekeeper, a middle-aged lady, lets herself into Howard's apartment, entry foyer. The housekeeper, unbuttoning her coat, is greeted by a raucous clock alarm, relentlessly buzzing off-screen. She crosses into Howard's living room and opens the blinds with an eruption of daylight. The shrill buzzing gets louder, so she proceeds into Howard's back foyer, where the bedroom door is ajar. The buzzing comes from here. Housekeeper's POV. Howard Beale, still wearing last night's clothes, is curled in a position of fetal helplessness on the floor. Housekeeper, after a moment. Are you all right, Mr. Beale? Howard opens one blotto eye. I'm fine. Thank you, Mrs. Merriman. He contrives to get to his feet as the housekeeper crosses to the alarm clock and turns the buzzing off. Credits and music erupt onto the screen. Network. Under and interspersed with credits, a montage from a routine day. Howard Beale's office, 5th floor, 9:20 a.m. In his unpretentious office, cluttered with books, magazines, photographs, and awards on the walls, Howard sits behind his desk, rattling away on his typewriter at his copy for that evening's broadcast. He pauses to pour himself a quick shot of scotch. The nightly news, room 517, 10:30 a.m. This is a vast common room full of activity, bordered by individual production offices such as the one occupied by Howard and his team. It is packed with the desks of producers, associate producers, head writer and writers, production assistants, etc. The walls are festooned like bulletin boards. Two-wire machines stand in a corner. Large blow-ups of Howard Beale are prominently displayed. There are small shelved libraries of books, directories, and magazines here and there. The ever-present bank of 4 television monitors. And since it is 10:30 a.m. Tuesday, September 23rd, 1975, and since the audio is off, the screens silently flicker with whatever was on that day at that time. Howard comes out of his office through the hum of informal industry and the occasional typewriter clacking and phones ringing. Around him, the nightly news personnel, all in their 20s and 30s, confer. Howard Beale makes for a ledge of reference books to check out some fact. He spreads the book out on an unoccupied desk. Someone tells him he's wanted on the phone. He nods, takes the call at that desk. Throughout, he belts back his glass of booze. Executive Producer's Office, 1 p.m. Another smallish office debouching off the main room like Howard's, jammed with 9 people standing or sitting wherever they can. The executive producer, Harry Hunter, is in his early 40s and behind the desk. Howard Beale sits on a Finnish modern couch, flanked by an associate producer and a man from the graphics department. Everybody else is in their 20s or 30s and is casually dressed. This is the daily rundown meeting when the schedule for that evening's broadcast is roughed out. And it sounds something like this. Howard reaches for the bottle of booze on Hunter's desk to refill his glass. Let's do the Lenin deportation at the end of 3. Harry Hunter. That strong enough to bump? Howard, sipping his booze. In 1 minute, I'll do a lead on Sarah Jane Moore to Mayberry in San Francisco. Associate producer. The film I saw was The Chief of Detectives. Graphics man. I think we got maybe 10 seconds on the shooting itself. Production assistant. The whole thing is 125. Howard. How does that come out? Production assistant. About 450. Associate producer. Are we using squeaky foam? Harry Hunter. Let's do that in 2. Squeaky. Ford at the airport. Bump. Now, we using a map going into San Francisco? Graphics man. I prefer a news pics. Howard pours himself another shot of booze and sips it. Howard. What have we got left? Production assistant. Gun control? Patty Hearst affidavit? Guerrillas in Chad? OPEC in Vienna? 4th floor corridor, 6:28 p.m. In the small network news makeup room, Howard is getting a few last whisks from the makeup lady. Finished, Howard pulls the Kleenex from his shirt collar, takes a last sip from his glass, gathers his papers, exits, turns, and enters. 4th floor network news studio. Typical newsroom studio full of cameras, cables, wall maps, flats, and propping, etc. Howard nods, smiles to cameramen, assistant directors, associate producers, as he makes his way to his desk facing camera 1. He sits, prepares his papers, looks up to the control room, and nods. Music abruptly out. End of credits. 4th floor control room. The wall clock reads 6:30. Typical control room with a double bank of television monitors, including 2 color monitors, the show monitor and preset monitor. Before this array of TV screens sits the director, flanked by the production assistant who stopwatches the show, and by the technical director who operates a special board of buttons and knobs. The monitor shows the network's Washington correspondent, Jack Snowden, doing a follow-up on the attempted assassination of President Ford in San Francisco. In the back half of the control room, seated behind his shelf, is Harry Hunter, now flirting with his secretary, Sheila. Snowden, on monitor. The first attempt on President Ford's life was 18 days ago, and again yesterday in San Francisco. Director, murmuring into his mic. Lou, kick that little thing shut on ground level. Snowden, on monitor. In spite of 2 attempts, The show monitor screen has switched over to show film of President Ford arriving at the San Francisco airport. The director and technical director turn in their seat to gossip with Harry Hunter and Sheila. Snowden, voiceover on monitor. Mr. Ford says he will not become production assistant. 40 seconds. Snowden on monitor. A prisoner of the Oval Office. Director. Head roll. Rolling. Snowden on monitor. A hostage of would-be assassins. Technical director. Murmurs into mic. 25. 26. President Ford on monitor. The American people are good people. Harry Hunter to Sheila. How the hell do you always get mixed up with married men? President Ford on monitor. Democrats, independents, Republicans, and others. Director leaning back to say that to the secretary. Sheila, if you're hot for married men, why to go to strangers? What's wrong with me? President Ford on monitor. Under no circumstances will I capitulate. Production assistant. 10 seconds. Director into mic. 10 seconds coming to 1. President Ford on monitor. To those who want to undercut all that's good in America. Production assistant. 40 seconds. Director into mic. 20 seconds to 1. 1. Howard Beale's image suddenly flips on screen. Howard on monitor. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this moment to announce that I will be retiring from this program in 2 weeks' time because of poor ratings. The director has whispered something to Sheila, which occasions from her and Hunter. The technical director stands in order to get in on the joke. Assistant director to director. What'd you say? Howard on monitor. And since this show was the only thing I had going for me in my life, I have decided to kill myself. Sheila whispers something which causes Hunter to burst into laughter. Assistant director to the director. So what'd she say? Howard on monitor. I'm going to blow my brains out right on this program a week from today. Production assistant. Puzzled indeed by this diversion from the script. 10 seconds to commercial. Howard on monitor. So tune in next Tuesday. That'll give the public relations people a week to promote the show. That ought to get a hell of a rating. A 50 share, easy. A bewildered production assistant nudges the director, who wheels back to his mic. Director, into mic. And production assistant to the director. Did you hear that? Director, take VT, A. The monitor screen erupts into a commercial for cat food. Audio man leaning in from his glass cubicle. What was that about? Production assistant to the director. Howard just said he was going to blow his brains out next Tuesday. Director. What are you talking about? Production assistant. Didn't you hear him? He just said. Harry Hunter. What's wrong now? Production assistant. Howard just said he was going to kill himself next Tuesday. Harry Hunter. What do you mean Howard just said he was going to kill himself next Tuesday? Production assistant. Nervously riffling her script. He was supposed to do a tag on Ron Nesson and go to commercial. Audio man. He said, tune in next Tuesday. I'm going to shoot myself. Everybody's attention is now on the double bank of black and white monitors showing agitated behavior all over the studio. Several screens show Howard at his desk in vehement discussion with a clearly startled floor manager, with headset and a no less startled associate producer. Director on mic to floor manager. What the hell is going on? On the preset monitor screen, the floor manager looks up. Floor manager. On screen, voice booming into the control room. I don't know. He just said he was going to blow his brains out. Director into mic. What the hell's this all about, Howard? Howard. On monitor, shouting at the floor personnel gathering around him. Will you get the hell out of here? We'll be back on the air in a couple of seconds. Harry Hunter roaring into mic. What the fuck's going on, Howard? Associate producer. They want to know what the fuck is going on, Howard. Howard on monitor. I can't hear you. Director, bawling at the audio man. Put the studio mic on. Audio man, we're back on in 11 seconds. Production assistant, stop watching. 10 seconds. Assistant director. Ready to, ready to. Harry Hunter, voice booming into the studio. Howard, what the hell are you doing? Have you flipped or what? Associate producer. Harry, I think we better get him off. Harry Hunter roaring at Audio Man. Get him off! Audio Man, back in control room. What the hell is going on? Associate producer, battling Howard. Come on, Howard. Let go of the fucking desk. To Harry Hunter and everyone else. For Christ's sakes, we're in fucking trouble down here. He won't let go of the fucking desk. Come on, give us a hand. Harry Hunter, turn the fucking sound off, you stupid son of a bitch. He's going out live. Production assistant, stop watching. 3, 2, 1. Director, take 2. At which point, the technical director pushes a button. The jangling cat food commercial flips off the monitor, replaced by a scene of gathering bedlam around Howard's desk. The audio man flees to his cubicle to turn off the audio, but not before Harry Hunter can be heard. Harry Hunter, Christ's sakes, black it out. This is going out live to 67 fucking affiliates. Shit. 5th floor elevator area, 10:47 p.m. Frank Hackett, Executive Senior Vice President of UBS, 41 years old, of the new cool young breed of management merchandising executives, wearing a tuxedo. He has been pulled out of a dinner party in Westchester by this unfortunate business. Comes out of the elevator and turns briskly into 5th floor corridor. It is cluttered with network executives of assorted sizes and ages. Hackett, en route to room 509, the humming hub of activity here, pauses to comment. Hackett. Lou, can't we clear out the downstairs lobby? There must be 100 people down there. Every TV station and wire service in this city. I could barely get in. Lou. How am I going to clear them out, Frank? Room 509, executive offices of the news division. Hackett enters the common room, from which debouch the offices of President of News Max Schumacher, VP News Division Robert McDonough, VP Public Relations News Division Milton Steinman, VP Legal Affairs News Division Walter Gianni, VP Owned Station News Emil Dubrovnik, VP Standards and Practices Arthur Zangwell, General Manager News Radio Michael Sandys, and a number of other executives. The VP Sales Joe Donnelly takes the phone from the VP News Sales. Richard Kettering, seated at the desk of the Secretary for VP Public Relations News Division. Donnelly, on phone. How many spots were wiped out? Zangwell. So far, over 900 fucking phone calls complaining about the foul language. Hackett. Shit. PR man in the background on phone. Come on, Mickey, what page are you putting it on? Hackett is already crossing into Max's office, which is jammed with Nelson Cheney, president of UBS. 52, a patrician, on the phone at Max's desk. He notes Hackett's arrival. Cheney on phone. Frank Hackett just walked in. Milton Steinman, whom we remember as VP Public Relations News Division, early 50s, a rumpled and ordinarily amiable man, stands by the desk on the phone. Steinman on the phone. I can't release the tape, Marty. We're still studying it ourselves. PR man sticking his head in to Steinman. ABC again. Wants the tape. Steinman. Tell him to go fuck himself. To phone. And that goes for you too, Marty. Hackett. To Howard Beale sitting on the couch. You're off the air as of now. Cheney. Extending his phone to Hackett. He wants to talk to you. Hackett. To Max, leaning against a wall. Who's replacing Beale tomorrow? Max. We're flying up Snowden from Washington. Steinman. Turns up the volume knob on Max's desk. All right, everybody, hold it. Let's see how the other networks handled this. 3 television monitors on the wall and 1 large office console of UBS TV blurred out their respective pre-news commercials. Thackeray, VP Station Relations from doorway. The 10 o'clock news opened with it. Hackett on phone. Walters drafted a statement. I haven't seen it yet. I just got here, John. I was at a dinner party. Suddenly, the faces of other network newscasters and the UBS local news anchorman, Tim Holloway, are on the screen. CBS anchorman, affably. An unusual thing happened at one of our sister networks, UBS, this evening. ABC anchorman, almost simultaneously. Howard Beale, one of the television's most esteemed newscasters, NBC anchorman. Howard Beale interrupted his network news program tonight to announce Hackett. Shit. To Max. How are we handling it? Max. Holloway is going to make a brief statement at the end of the show to the effect of Howard's been under great personal stress, etc. Hackett clicks off the bank of monitor screens. They go black. Hackett, on phone. I'll call you back, John. Returns the phone to its cradle, regards the gathering. All right, we've got a stockholders meeting tomorrow at which we're going to announce the restructuring of management plan. And I don't want this grotesque incident to interfere with that. I'll suggest Mr. Ruddy open with a short statement washing this whole thing off. And you, Max, better have some answers in case some of those nuts that always come to stockholders meetings. Max, still leaning against the wall. Mr. Beale has been under great personal and professional pressures. Hackett, exploding. I've got some goddamn surprises for you too, Schumacher. I've had it up to here with your cruddy division and its annual $33 million deficit. Max, keep your hands off my news division, Frank. We're responsible at the corporate level, not you. Hackett, we'll goddamn well see about that. Cheney, all right, take it easy. Right now, how are we going to get Beale out of here? I understand there's at least 100 reporters and camera crews in the lobby. Max, we've got a limo waiting at the freight entrance. To Howard. Howard, you're going to stay at my place tonight. There's bound to be press around yours. Avenue of the Americas, Wednesday, 10 a.m. High wide-angle shot and/or shots showing Television Row, that quarter mile of 6th Avenue where the 4 television networks have their chrome, marble, and glass buildings rearing futuristically into the sky. 30 Rock, NBC, Black Rock, CBS, and Hard Rock, ABC. And, of course, the network of our story, UBS. It is a nice, sunny day. UBS, 5th floor, Max's office, 10 a.m. Sunlight streaming in. Max sits at his desk in shirt sleeves. Max, on phone. I want Snowden here by noon. Have Lester cover the CIA hearings and give the White House to Doris. Max's secretary sticks her head in. Secretary. You're late for your screening, Max. Max hangs up, stands, gathers his jacket off a chair and heads for the door. Max. If John Wheeler calls, switch him to screening room 7. He exits. 9th floor, screening room 7. A screening room of some 20 seats. 2 people are already there. A whippet-like, casually dressed man of 36, Bill Heron, and Diana Christensen, dressed in slacks and blouse, 34, tall, willowy, and with the best ass ever seen on a vice president in charge of programming. Max, entering. I'm sorry, Bill. This Beale business. Heron, it's all right. Max, sit down. Max and Diana exchange nods and professionally polite greetings. Heron, buzzing the projectionist. Diana asked if she could sit in on this. Max, fine. Sits, calls to Diana. How's it going? Diana shrugs, smiles. Heron, I think you'll like this footage better than the stuff I showed you last time, Max. The lights in the room go down. A shaft of light shoots out from the projection room. Max leans back, watches the documentary footage. On screen, a handsome black woman in her early 30s is sitting in a typical panel discussion, flanked by 3 men and a woman, 2 white and 2 black, all urban guerrilla, fatigues, sunglasses, and combat boots. Suskind on screen. Lorraine, what is the relationship of the Communist Party to these underground splinter groups? Lorraine Hobbs on screen calmly. The Communist Party believes that the most pressing political necessity today is the consolidation of the revolutionary, radical, and democratic movements into a united front. Insert on screen. Lorraine Hobbs, U.S. Communist Party. The phone buzzes softly. Max picks it up. Max, into phone. Yeah? Oh, god damn it. When, Louise? Well, did he say anything? Alright, thanks. Hangs up, promptly picks up again. 4807. Lorraine Hobbs, on screen in background. Repression is the response of an increasingly desperate imperialist ruling clique. Indeed, the entire apparatus of the bourgeois democratic state, especially its judicial systems and its prisons, is disintegrating. Max, on phone. Harry? Howard Beale left my house about 20 minutes ago. Has he come in yet? Let me know when he arrives. Hangs up. Who's that, Lorraine Hobbs? Aaron, this is a David Suskind thing she did some time ago. I think we can use some of it. Lorraine Hobbs, on screen. The fascist thrust must be resisted in its seminal stages by the broadest possible coalition. Screening room 7, 20 minutes later. Room still dark. Numbered white leader is rolling on screen. Heron. What we're going to see now is something really sensational. The Flagstaff Independent Bank in Arizona was ripped off last week by a terrorist group called the Ecumenical Liberation Army, and they themselves actually took movies off of the ripoff while they were ripping it off. Wait till you see it. The screen suddenly erupts into film of the interior of the bank. 3 men, 2 of them black, and 2 women, 1 black and 1 white, enter the bank and disperse to various parts of as if on legitimate business. Diana. The Ecumenical Liberation Army. Is that the one that kidnapped Paddy Hearst? Heron. No, that's the Symbionese Liberation Army. This is the Ecumenical Liberation Army. They're the ones who kidnapped Mary Ann Gifford 3 weeks ago. There's a hell of a lot of liberation armies in the revolutionary underground and a lot of kidnapped heiresses. That's Mary Ann Gifford. This last refers to the young white woman on screen lugging a shopping bag as she gets in line at a teller's window. Diana. You mean they actually shot this film while they were ripping off the bank? Heron. Yeah, where do you see it? I don't know whether to edit or leave it raw like this. That's the great Ahmed Khan. He's the leader. On screen, the film goes out of focus and bounces meaninglessly around the bank, settling on a large, powerful black man at one desk, presumably writing out a series of deposit slips. Diana. This is terrific stuff. Where'd you get it? Heron. I got everything through Lorraine Hobbs. She's my contact for all this stuff. On screen, the camera amateurishly whooshes in and out of focus to pick up Mary Ann Gifford, who bends over her shopping bag and pulls out a Czech service submachine gun 9 Parabellum that she points to the ceiling and fires. The film is silent, but the reaction of everyone around suggests something was fired. The film gets fragmented and panicky, as does the activity in the bank. The phone at Max's elbow buzzes. Max picks up the phone, while the bank holdup proceeds in background. Harry Hunter on filter. Max, I've got Howard on the other line. Max, all right, put him on. Nightly News, room 517. Harry Hunter is using an empty desk to phone. The background is full of the normal flow of news activity. Harry Hunter calls into Howard's office. Howard, I've got Max on 4. Would you pick up? Howard's office. Howard picks up phone. Listen, Max. I'd like another shot. Screening room 7. The silent footage of the frenetic bank robbery runs in the background. Max on phone. Oh, come on, Howard. Howard's office. Howard on phone. I don't mean the whole show. I'd just like to come on, make some kind of brief farewell statement, and then turn the show over to Jack Snowden. I have 11 years at this network, Max. I have something standing in this industry. I don't want to go out like a clown. It'll be simple and dignified. You and Harry can check the copy. Nightly newsroom. Across Harry Hunter on phone through the open door at Howard's office. Harry Hunter on phone. I think it'll take the strain off the show, Max. Howard on phone. Well, what do you think? Max on phone. All right. And no booze today, Howard. Howard's office. Howard on phone. No booze. Screening room 7. The film is over. Lights are on. In the background, Diana and Heron stand. Move for the door, wave goodbyes. Max waves slackly in return. He can't help noticing as Diana leaves that she has indeed the most beautiful ass ever seen on a VP programming. UBS building 14th floor elevator area. Diana and Heron come out of an elevator and turn left to the glass doors marked Department of Programming. They continue into Programming Department reception area. There is no one at the receptionist desk. They head down. Programming Department corridor. Diana pauses en route to lean into one of the offices. Diana. George, can you come in my office for a minute? She and Heron continue on, turn into Programming Department common room. The secretaries are slaving away, reading magazines and chatting. An occasional phone rings. Barbara Schley Sr., chunky and in her late 30s, is instructing her secretary in something. Diana hails Schlesinger. Diana. Barbara, is Tommy around anywhere? Barbara. I think so. Diana. I'd like to see the two of you for a moment. She leads Heron now into Diana's secretary's office. Helen, the secretary, hands a sheaf of phone messages to Diana to take with her into Diana's office. Followed by Heron, Diana enters and skims through her messages. The office is executive size. Windows looking out on the canyons of glass and stone skyscrapers on 6th Avenue. Her desk is piled high with scripts. George Bosch, VP Program Development East Coast, a slight, balding man of 39, enters the office, nods to Heron, takes a seat, followed by Barbara, who is head of the story department, and Tommy Pellegrino, Assistant VP Programming 36, swarthy, coiffed, with a mustache. They find seats on chairs, the couch. Heron stands. Diana, this is Bill Heron from our West Coast Special Programs Department. Barbara Schlesinger, George Bosch, Tommy Pellegrino. Look, I just saw some rough footage of a special Bill's doing on the Revolutionary Underground. Most of it's tedious stuff of Lorene Hobbs and four fatigued jackets muttering mutilated Marxism. But he's got about 8 minutes of a bank robbery that is absolutely sensational. Authentic stuff. Actually shot while the robbery was going on. Remember the Marianne Gifford kidnapping? Well, it's that bunch of nuts. She's in the film shooting off machine guns. Really terrific footage. I think we can get a hell of a movie of the week out of it. Maybe even a series. Pellegrino. A series of what? What are we talking about? Diana. Look, we've got a bunch of hobgoblin radicals called the Ecumenical Liberation Army who go around taking home movies of themselves robbing banks. Maybe they'll take movies of themselves kidnapping heiresses, hijacking 747s, bombing bridges, assassinating ambassadors. We'd open each week's segment with that authentic footage, hire a couple of writers to write some story behind that footage, and we've got ourselves a series. Bosch. A series about a bunch of bank-robbing guerrillas? Schlesinger. What are we going to call it? The Mousy Tongue Hour? Diana. Why not? They've got Strike Force, Task Force, SWAT. Why not Che Guevara and his own little mod squad? Listen, I sent you all a concept analysis report yesterday. Did any of you read it? Apparently not. Well, in a nutshell, it said the American people are turning sullen. They've been clobbered on all sides by Vietnam, Watergate, the inflation, the depression. They've turned off, shot up, and they've fucked themselves limp. And nothing helps. So, this concept analysis report concludes the American people want somebody to articulate their rage for them. I've been telling you people since I took this job 6 months ago that I want angry shows. I don't want conventional programming on this network. I want counterculture. I want anti-establishment. She closes the door. Diana. Now, I don't want to play butch boss with you people, but when I took over this department, it had the worst programming record in television history. This network hasn't one show in the top 20. This network is an industry joke. We better start putting together one winner for next September. I want a show developed based on the activities of a terrorist group. Joseph Stalin and his merry band of Bolsheviks. I want ideas from you people. And by the way, the next time I send an audience research report around, you all better read it, or I'll sack the fucking lot of you. Is that clear? Apparently it is. She turns to Heron. I'll be out on the coast in 4 weeks. Can you set up a meeting with Lorene Hobbs for me? Heron. Sure. New York Hilton Banquet Room, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Long shot. A stockholders meeting, standing room only, with some 200 stockholders seated in the audience and standing around the walls. On the rostrum, a phalanx of UBS corporate executives, seated in 3 rows, including Edward Ruddy, chairman of the board, the presidents and senior vice presidents of the other divisions and other groups, the UBS Records Group, the UBS Publishing Group, the UBS Theater Chain, etc. Representing the network are Nelson Cheney and division heads George Nichols, president of the radio division, Norman Moldanian, president owned stations, general counsel Walter Amundsen, and of course, Max Schumacher, president of the news division. Frank Hackett, senior executive vice president, UBS TV, is at the lectern delivering the annual report. Hackett, droning. But the business of management is management. And at the same time, CCA took control. The UBS TV network was foundering with less than 7% of national television revenues. most network programs being sold at station rates. I am therefore pleased to announce I am submitting to the Board of Directors a plan for the coordination of the main profit centers, and with the specific intention of making each division more responsive to management. Another angle singling out Max Schumacher in the second row of the phalanx, bored and whispering to Nelson Cheney beside him. Include in frame the 67-year-old Brahmin of television, Edward Ruddy, in the front row, with Hackett in the background. It is some 20 minutes later. Hackett, still reading from his paper. Point 3. The division producing the lowest rate of return has been the news division. Max suddenly begins paying attention. Hackett, with its $98 million budget and its average annual deficit of $32 million. I know that historically news divisions are expected to lose money, but to our minds this philosophy is a wanton fiscal affront to be resolutely resisted. Angle on Hackett with a smoldering Max in background. Hackett. The new plan calls for local news to be transferred to owned stations divisions. Max stares angrily down toward Norman Moldanian, who studiously avoids his eye. Hackett. News radio would be transferred to the UBS radio division. Across Max, turning in his seat to eye George Nichols behind him. Hackett. And, in effect, the news division would be reduced. Max leans forward to catch the eye of Edward Ruddy, staring sternly ahead. Hackett. From an independent division to a department accountable to network. Max is on the verge of letting his temper erupt. New York Hilton Banquet Room, Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. The stockholders' meeting is over. A crush of stockholders mingle with executives. Max Schumacher elbows his way through the crowded aisle to Edward Ruddy. Max. What was that all about, Ed? Ruddy, urbane. This is not the time, Max. Max. Why wasn't I told about this? Why was I led onto the podium and publicly humiliated in front of the stockholders? God damn it, I spoke to John Wheeler this morning and he assured me the news division was safe. Are you trying to get me to resign? It's a hell of a way to do it. Ruddy. Silken voice. We'll talk about this tomorrow at our regular morning meeting. Ruddy turns back to stockholders around him. Max wheels away enraged. Control room, network news show. The wall clock reads 6:28. The director, technical director, lighting director, and production assistant are at their long shelf in front of the double bank of television monitors. The audio man is in his glass cube. Harry Hunter and his secretary and the unit manager are on the raised level in the back. Hunter is on the phone, looks up as the control room door opens, and Max, carrying his jacket, comes in. Hunter finishes his call, offers his seat to Max, but Max stands in the back. Production assistant. 5 seconds. Lighting director. Picture's too thick. Director. Coming 2. And 1. The show monitor flicks from its color patterns that show Howard Beale looking up from the sheaf of papers on his desk. Howard on monitor. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, September the 24th, and this is my last broadcast. Yesterday, I announced on this program that I would commit public suicide, admittedly an act of madness. Well, I'll tell you what happened. I just ran out of bullshit. Harry Hunter. All right, cut him off. The monitor screen goes black. Max from the back wall. Leave him on. Howard's image promptly flicks back on. Howard, on monitor, looking off screen. Am I still on the air? Everybody in the control room looks to Max. Max. This is how he wants to go out. This is how he goes out. Howard, on monitor. I don't know any other way to say it except I just ran out of bullshit. The phone rings. Hunter picks it up. Another phone rings. Hunter's secretary picks it up. Hunter on phone. Look, Mr. Schumacher's right here. Do you want to talk to him? Offers phone to Max. Howard on monitor. Bullshit is all the reasons we give for living. And if we can't think up any reasons of our own, we always have the God bullshit. Hunter's secretary. Holy Mary, Mother of Christ. Max on phone. Yeah? What is it, Tom? Howard on monitor. We don't know why the hell we're going through all this pointless pain, humiliation, and decay. So there better be someone somewhere who does know. That's the God bullshit. Max on phone. He's saying life is bullshit. And it is. So what are you screaming about? He hangs up. The phone rings again. Hunter's secretary picks it up. Howard on monitor. If you don't like the God bullshit, how about the man bullshit? Man is a noble creature who can order his own world. So who needs God? Hunter's secretary to Max. Mr. Amundsen for you, Mr. Schumacher. Max. I'm not taking calls. Howard on monitor. Well, if there's anybody out there who can look around this demented slaughterhouse of a world we live in and tell me man is a noble creature, that man is full of bullshit. Director staring in awe at the screen. I know he's sober, so he's gotta be just plain nuts. Starts to giggle. Harry Hunter screaming, what's so goddamn funny? Director. I can't help it, Harry. It's funny. Howard on monitor. I don't have any kids. A phone rings. Hunter's secretary picks it up. Harry Hunter. Max, this is going out live to 67 affiliates. Max. Leave him on. Howard on monitor. And I was married for 33 years of shrill, shrieking fraud. A breathless and distraught young woman bursts into the control room. Young woman. Mr. Hackett's trying to get through to you. Max. Tell Mr. Hackett to go fuck himself. Howard on console. I don't have any bullshit left. I just ran out of it, you see. UBS building lobby. Patrician Edward Ruddy, chairman of the board, fastidious in a light topcoat, makes his way through the crush of newspaper people. Wire service people, camera crews from CBS, NBC, ABC, from local stations, WIPX, War TV, Metro Media, and from Channel 13. Security guards protect the elevators, and 3 more help Ruddy get through the glaring camera lights and the horde of mics thrust at him. Ruddy. I'm sorry, I don't have all the facts yet. I'll make a statement later. 20th floor lobby lounge corridor. Max stands by the deserted reception desk in the empty lounge. This is the top management floor with posh, austere decor reflecting the eminence of those who work here. It is now a cathedral, hushed, echoing. At the far end, the double doors of the corner office open, and Nelson Chaney leans out to beckon Max. Mr. Ruddy's office. Large, regal, with impressionist originals on the walls and superb windows, through which the crepuscular grandeur of New York at night is seen. Ruddy sits behind his desk. John Wheeler, 59, forceful but silent, lounges in a leather chair. The door opens and Nelson Chaney and Max Schumacher come in. They all nod at each other. Max slumps into a leather chair. Ruddy to Chaney. I want to see Mr. Beale after this. Chaney promptly picks up a corner phone and calls the 14th floor. Ruddy. The way I hear it, Max, you're primarily responsible for this colossally stupid prank. Is that the fact, Max? Max. That's the fact. Ruddy. It was unconscionable. There doesn't seem to be anything more to say. Max. I have something to say, Ed. I'd like to know why that whole debasement of the news division announced at the stockholders meeting today was kept secret from me. You and I go back 20 years, Ed. I took this job with your personal assurance that you would back my autonomy against any encroachment. But ever since the CCA acquired control of the UBS systems 10 months ago, Hackett's been taking over everything. Who the hell's running this network? You or some conglomerate called CCA. I mean, you're the chairman of the systems group, and Frank Hackett's just CCA's hatchet man. Nelson here. For Pete's sake, he's the president of the network. He hasn't got anything to say about anything anymore. Ruddy. I told you at the stockholders meeting, Max, that we would discuss all that at our regular meeting tomorrow morning. If you had been patient, I would have explained to you that I too thought Frank Hackett precipitate and that the reorganization of the news division would not be executed until everyone, specifically you, Max, had been consulted and satisfied. Instead, you sulked off like a child and engaged this network in a shocking and disgraceful episode. Your position here is no longer tenable, regardless of how management is restructured. I'll expect your resignation at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we will coordinate our statements to the least detriment of everyone. To Wheeler. Bob McDonough will take over the news division until we sort all this out. Wheeler nods. Ronnie turns to Cheney, still on the phone. I'd like to see Mr. Beale now. Cheney on phone. They're looking for him, Ed. They don't know where he is.